So for anybody who's been watching my videos over the last couple of weeks, you've known that there's been a bit of a big flourish of activity in terms of making stuff up and getting stuff ready, because I'm about 2 weeks out now from going to Sydney Supanova, which is kind of an Australian equivalent to a Comic-Con type convention. And whilst I fully intend to eventually finish these blades up into a full gauntlet display, the real reason that I've made them up for the moment is to give people an idea when I go down to the convention on how the process is actually done, because I don't really want people mistaking the work I do for being resin stuff. So I'm going to lay them out and display pretty much as you see there, with the pattern piece and then the raw cast piece and then the stages of polishing there. That's stage 1 and stage 2 and the one piece, and then the finished and weathered piece being the last one there. And hopefully that'll give people a better idea of what's involved in the actual creation of them. So working out the brass pieces, I quickly came to the conclusion that the clay stuff wasn't going to work. Unfortunately, the compressive force of packing down the sand was too much for the clay, because this isn't fired, it's just air dried. So I went back to what I probably should have done in the first place and just made up patterns out of wood, and I've used them to actually cast up the brass pieces. That's a raw piece out based on the timber piece. You can see how it's come out there. It's come out fairly nicely. They obviously come out quite rough in the sand, but they polish up really nicely as well. That's just been sanded at this stage, so there's a little bit more shaping and working to do on that. That's the pommel piece. The rest of the parts of the handle are going to be made up of red cedar. So to give you an idea of the spacing, obviously I've still got to work out all the alignment and that sort of stuff, and those cedar pieces haven't been even made up yet, so that's pretty much where the handle's up to now. Still quite a lot of clean up to do on these brass pieces, but I'm happy with it so far. So I've got the brass pieces cleaned up to the point where they're ready to be test assembled, and I've started working on the timber spaces that are going to finish off the handle. The timber that I'm using here is a very old red cedar. Quite a few years back I was able to rescue it from a building site, and the piece I'm using this time around is a floorboard that just happened to be the right sort of thickness for what I wanted to do. But the timber itself is out of a building that was probably about 150 years old, so it's very well seasoned, and it's nice to be able to recycle it into something like this. It was a little bit of an alignment trick with working out where the guard was going to go, because obviously it won't just slide straight on. So I had to do it in such a way that the hole was slightly ovaled, so that it would actually make it down past a point where it would actually connect in. Then the first piece of wood I've got rough shape. Next piece of wood hasn't been shaped at all yet, but gives you an idea. And then I've got to cut the last piece of wood and work out where the pommel's going to attach.